listeners, to the BizBlend podcast where strategy meets soul and innovation meets integrity and purpose. I'm your host, Sana, and today's episode, well, it flips the script on everything that you think you know about branding, rather personal branding, team building, and then online business. Now, let me ask you this question. What if you could scale, let's say, 30 faceless brands without employees, without funding, and without ever showing your face? That is surprising, I know, listeners. But my guest today has done just that. Listeners, meet Drake Wolfe. He is the founder of Omnixion and Optimized AI, then Agentix. Now, his story is bigger than the business. Raised in the foster care system and aged out without nothing, Drake has built a fully autonomous AI empire. And he now uses his success to fuel change through Foster the Future Foundation. Now, we are diving into AI agents, faceless empires, spiritual grit, and then what it means to rise without losing your roots, your humble roots. So let's explore the future of automation, listeners, content, and then the impact without the burnout, of course. So, Drake, welcome to the show, and it is such an honor to have you with us.
Sana, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction. I don't think I've ever been introduced in that manner before.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Thank you for kind words, Drake. Okay. A bit kind of, controversial. AI empire with no team, no funding. How exactly you did that? And if you can walk us through your journey from foster care, which kind of shaped your philosophy around automation and ownership, because especially right now, AI, then stuff around AI is kind of getting very polarized. So if you can share that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess I'll start with explaining my background and my past a little bit, and then I'll dive into how I'm accomplishing what I'm doing right now. So, first off, starting off my life in foster care, as we just discussed, had its advantages and disadvantages. One of the things that created a situation where made me, more, I guess, adept to my surroundings was that I moved around a lot. I was with various different families. I was actually in 8 different places over a course of 15 years. So I was able to adapt to my environment pretty quickly and learn new things on the fly. This helped me as an adult move directly into, a career in commercial construction, which is where I originally first started. um,
Mhm.
that that actually gave me the mentality that I needed to manage large projects and systems in the commercial construction world. When you're building a skyscraper and you've got $100 million of a client's money, there are a lot of intricate moving parts. There are, hundreds, if not thousands, of human beings on site. There are teams and formats and structures and SOPs in place to make sure it goes correctly. So from a very young age, I was exposed to large systems and structures, which eventually helped me move into my passion project, which is AI and automation. And I'll kind of dive a little deeper into that in here in a second. But as far as foster care is concerned, it directly impacted my personality as an adult, which then correlated directly to my success and the things that I have done thus far.
Hmm. I mean, that is that is really inspiring because sometimes, fortunately, unfortunately, adversity, it can shape innovation. So, uh, really inspiring, Drake. So talking about faceless branding, so there is a buzz around that, but uh, very few are doing it at a scale like you, because branding itself, it talks about having that, human element added to it, that it is attached to someone or at least something in there. So what's this core strategy behind launching 30 plus faceless brands, with Agentix systems, Drake?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Um, so the first and the most important thing that absolutely has to be captured prior to doing this successfully is making sure that you are creating value. Any brand requires extreme value, especially if it's a faceless brand. So essentially, if you want to create a YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok, whatever that looks like, whether it's social media, whether it's, you know, PDF farming, whether it's a Shopify store, whatever that
Mhm.
you want to create in the digital mecca, um, you have to start with value first. What do you have to offer that people are willing to either watch, listen to you for, or purchase from you for? And that's the biggest thing when you're automating at scale is making sure that all brands you create genuinely is giving value. What a lot of people get wrong these days is specifically with faceless brands is, mass creating videos, let's say TikTok, for instance, it's a perfect example. They will create a meme page and post 100 videos a day, on random things that they saw that they cut and clipped and reposted. People are watching it and they're engaging with that, channel, but it's not a brand. It's just a channel that's reposting things. Whereas a curated channel that may post, 10 to 25 times a day with very specific curated videos that may have a link to, I don't know, a PDF that someone can purchase or affiliate links embedded in these videos. That's a more monetizable strategy over time. And people that follow that channel are going to know that they're going to get, for example, travel tips and tricks, right? They know when they follow you, that is exactly what they're going to get and that they can trust your brand.
Doesn't it restrict to only the target audience, maybe just a niche audience, or people who are kind of connecting with the content you are sharing?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the most important part is making sure that you have a niche. Um, like I said, bringing value, and then the second most important part is a niche. So identify the niche that you're going to be in. Stick with that niche. What a lot of people do in branding, whether you're branding a business or a social media empire, is they try to generally apply to everybody, and unfortunately, that doesn't work unless you're Walmart or Amazon, uh,
Hmm.
unless you have massive resources.
Mhm.
You can't really generically apply to everyone. You really need to focus on a niche, and the most successful people that I know have niche customers.
Understood. I mean, they are like the loyal customers.
Yes, exactly. They follow your brand.
Mm, mm. That makes it that really makes sense. And also with platforms, like changing their algorithms and newer trends coming up every day. How are you leveraging AI agents to handle content creation? Because when we talk about creation or content, I think there is definitely a very polarized discussion on using AI itself. Uh, and how do you also use it in lead generation or even sales? Without kind of getting into that rabbit hole of burning out, or just jumping onto the bandwagon of trends.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with your first question. This one is interesting. So we cannot see the algorithm, right? Nobody has access to it unless you work there, and then of course you can't expose it to the general public. We have an understanding remotely of what is considered viral, when it does go viral on these social media platforms. But other than that, the best way to assess daily whether or not your content is going to continuously become viral or for you to build an online brand long term that post content that's monetizable is literally it's as simple as this is to create an agentic system that scours or scrapes the highest functioning and the highest trending videos for that day, and essentially what it'll do is it'll pull back this information and that'll compile it all into one central place, and you'll be able to see and use other agents to see what's working, what's not working, and what the overall arching theme is for your niche, over a period of 1 day a week, 30 days, 60 days, that kind of thing. So the more data that you have, the easier it is to really dial it in with AI. And then does that make sense?
It does, it does. And what about the content creation part? As I mentioned that sometime right now there's kind of a polarizing discussion related to AI in the context of content creation. That okay, it's just once again that same boring AI content coming up or some kind of AI video. I mean, so it's not authentic. That's kind of the buzzword going right now. So what's
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so first off, intentionality. When you're creating any form of AI content, you have to be exceptionally intentional with it. You cannot just generate it. It has to have tone and structure prompts. So this is a big one. Making sure that whether you're generating a video or an avatar overlay or promoting a product or service or just creating a video for people to watch and enjoy, intentionality really matters, and you have to make sure that your tone and the structure and the way that you are describing what you're describing is compelling and it's humanistic in nature, and it's not, robotic. That's the issue that you're discussing right now, which you can get into this rabbit hole of scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, finding these AI generated videos that are just really low quality. Someone just slapped them on there to try to get a few views. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about making sure that you are as consistent, if not more consistent, with being as genuine and as, descriptive as possible when you're building these prompt systems so that when an AI generates something for you, it sounds like you.
Mm. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. I agree with you. It's about the intentionality.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Mhm.
As far as the second part of that question, well, actually, the first question you went to, I skipped over it at the very beginning, but it's like uh,
I asked about
AI without teams, yeah, AI without teams is very controversial. It's exceptionally controversial. It's one of the biggest concerns that people have. So I will go ahead and very quickly explain what I meant by that. I don't
Mhm.
mean humans are not part of the equation. What I mean is humans are no longer the worker bees. They are freed from the hamster wheel of monotonous labor. And with my framework that I created, which is the auto generative agentic ecosystem, we'll talk about in a little bit, I've essentially created a model that allows humans to take a step back and be the CEO of an ecosystem instead of being in the weeds and physically doing the work themselves each and every day. So you're still involved in the process, and no one is gonna quote, quote, lose their job or anything like that. Your job is just gonna get a lot easier. And the traditional business model that the entire world has used is outdated by about 150 years. So what we do is we find people that are, really good at one thing. We
Okay.
stick them in a compartmentalized sector, and they do that one thing for the entirety of their career. Whereas the new business structure and model that I'll be discussing in my new book will outline a new way to do this, which is everybody has knowledge and a number of different things, and just high level manage it over AI auto generative systems.
Hmm. And I think let's also talk about automation because for many founders and this is personally also I we have gone through this. Delegation is really hard. I mean, there are emails, then sending out auto mails, meeting confirmations, reminders, and multiple stuff around there. Which manually, if done, it can consume a lot of time. It can also hamper productivity. So What's your opinion to this? I mean, should there be full automation, or should it be once again intentionally done?
So monotonous behaviors specifically are the ones that we want to focus on here. The things that have to be done every day or, every so often on a structured basis. Yes, I think once again, you can combine. A lot of people think that if you're not doing it manually, that it's unintentional, but you can combine intentional work with automation. So what you would do in this instance, and these are floating around the internet all over the place right now, is creating um, an agent that schedules your meetings or may reply to an email depending on, what type of email it is, things of that nature. When you're doing that, you want to make sure that you are prompting with very specific things. And once again, I'll use these words tone and style. Literally using those words in your prompt are really important. When you're breaking something down, give it tone settings. Hey, this is the tone. My name is Sana. This is what I do for a living. This is who I am. This is how I sound. And then style. This is the type of stuff I talk about. This is how I talk about that type of stuff. So that when you have an auto-generated or an automated response to a client or a future podcast guest or something like that, it does feel not only personal, but it feels intentional.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, and as you mentioned about your book, which is the final business model. So, what core insight does the book reveal about the future of entrepreneurship that most people they aren't seeing right now?
Yeah, this is super controversial, and I'm gonna, you know, talk to you and plain terms about this because it's gonna be broken down pretty significantly in my book, and I already know that I'm gonna have a lot of people that don't necessarily agree with me. That's the point. So here's what it is. We are not designed to work in the way that we work now. Humans are extremely intricate beings that have tremendous capability for, you know, um, multitasking and creative capabilities beyond any other species on this earth. And
Mhm.
that is stifled through the current business model. Let's say, for example, a front desk receptionist. They may get paid, $15 an hour somewhere. All they do is answer phones all day. This monotonous behavior, what it does is it creates a situation where this person doesn't realize the value that they actually hold as an intricate and intelligent human being. And because they're beaten down by the system and they've been created a box has been created for them, and this box tell them their specific roles and responsibilities and that they are to never do anything outside of that, right? What this does to humans over years is it creates this false narrative in your mind that you believe that that's all you can do, and thus it stifles the creativity. Whereas with AI was never built and designed to think that way. It was designed to be as powerful and as intelligent as it possibly could be. So this is the right way to think, right? We're told as kids that we could do anything, and then all of a sudden when we become adults, we're told that we can't do everything and that most things we want to do are impossible and that all we need to do is go to college, get good grades and find ourselves a stable job and hunker down and that's all that's out there for us. That's just not the case, and unfortunately, it's monetized at large scales by corporations. They want you to feel that way because they then can keep you in your box, which makes them more money. So, I'm gonna deep dive into this controversy in my book and talk exactly about how this is going to radically change.
That is going to be really controversial. But,
Yes.
sometimes the reality can be really, really hard hitting.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that everybody this is something we all know is true, but no one really wants to talk about it, and no one has very few people have actually stood up to this issue, and I think AI is gonna radically change that because when Sam Altman created OpenAI a few years ago and he gave us access as, regular human beings to this
Mm.
powerful tool, there They knew the clock was ticking. They knew that at some point in time, somebody or a group of people was going to create something new and something better that gives everybody the opportunity to live the life the way they're supposed to live it and not be confined in these bird cages based on what other people tell you you're worth and what you can do. With this new business model, we will be able to create fully automated agentic ecosystems where the only um, barrier is our creativity. Whatever we want to do, however we want to create it, we speak it into existence, and this fully autonomous system creates it for us and regulates it and governs it and continues to grow it and scale it. And we are just the architect of the system. We then have time to spend with our families, to do the things that we love. It's fully monetized. Our incomes will increase globally, our quality of life will increase. It'll just be an amazing opportunity for everybody involved.
True, true. But are there any caveats here, Drake, to this?
Yes, there is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is if you don't, if you're not in AI or if you know nothing about I implore you to start learning the basics. I implore you to start somewhere because this is the future. And we don't want anybody to fall behind, right? There is definitely a concern where people that won't be educated in this will fall behind, unfortunately. And in the future, there there will be positions that are removed entirely from the ecosystem of work because AI will, take over. So if you feel like you are in one of those positions, to any of the readers listening, um, if you feel that you are in a position where AI can take your job, my biggest advice is learn AI right now. Because if in fact it does take your job, then you know how to utilize it in a different sector and in a different space. And that's my biggest piece of advice is there definitely are going to be things that are caveats to this, and that is you need to learn AI. It's almost as important as people going through um the educational system, kindergarten through 12th grade right now, they're teaching you math and science and things like that. I can guarantee you in the next 10 years that AI is going to be a foundational knowledge that has to be built into schools in order for people to continue to operate as functioning adults in the world of employment.
Of course, of course. And we have seen, as a civilization, we have seen across, we saw the dot-com boom, the computers, the internet coming up, completely eradicating some of the jobs. But however, it created newer jobs, newer roles. In fact, during pandemic, post pandemic, we have seen, right now being a YouTuber is not anymore just like a freelancing stuff. It is a legit job there. It's a legit profession. So yes, there are negatives here. However, that openness is required from our end to embrace this as a boon, rather, boon, not a bane. So I absolutely agree with you, Drake.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. What you just said is a perfect synopsis of it. That there was the dot-com boom, and this is the AI boom. And everybody listening, you got to take advantage of this. This is not just a fad. This is not just something that's going to come and go. This is being radically integrated into the largest corporations in the world as we speak. Billions and billions of dollars are being spent by these companies to integrate these things as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And being in the space and understanding the news and what's going on right now, um, I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that AI has an exponential growth rate. It's not a physical product, so it doesn't have to be created. It just needs to be reiterated upon. So it's
Mm,
really important that you guys, anybody that wants to get a grip on their future opportunities in their respective industries, it's gonna be almost like supplemental knowledge. Just take it
mm.
upon yourself. Your company won't implement it for a while, but take it upon yourself to start educating yourself in AI just in general. And I promise you, it's going to level up your skill set. And every company in the world in the coming years is going to need people that are even just beginner and intermediate level at AI, let alone experts at AI. I think the next 5 to 7 years is going to be a world-shaping event where a new industry is going to be born for, AI engineers and prompt engineering and things of that nature that people that understand AI, regardless of your technological background.
Absolutely. And this is the highlight here, regardless of your technological background, even if you're not a coder, but you know how to leverage AI in your own space. I think it's going to give you that extra advantage, that X factor. So
Yes.
with that, Drake, before we wrap up, um, if our listeners would like to connect with you and also get a hold of your upcoming book, The Final Business Model, what's the best way to do that?
Yes, so the final business model will be launching this week on Thursday night. That'll be available on Amazon, on Kindle, on Audible, as well as Ingram Spark, and a number of other places. You can find me on LinkedIn at Drake Wolfe. I'm one of the only ones out there. That's WOLFE. My personal website is being rebuilt and designed right now for my new formatting, and you can find me there at drakeatlaswolf.com. And then my AI automation agency, if anybody is interested in automating their business in any way and learning about AI and implementing AI into their company, you can go to goagentix.com. That's Agentix.com. And me and my team will help you implement AI into your business and boost you forward towards the future.
Definitely. I'll have all the links mentioned in the show notes. And Drake, thank you. Thank you so much for not only opening the doors to reimagine the future of business, but also for reminding us that clarity, openness, conviction, they can definitely give us the boost to build legacies that probably could run deeper than algorithms. So thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Sana. And I would love to do this again sometime with you. This is great.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, to all of the listeners out there, whether you are building your first brand or you're thinking of building one, or maybe your 50th, I would like to say that automation isn't about escape, it is about elevation. AI is not something which is just, you know, could be used as a physical tool, as Drake said. It can be reiterated, it can be used to its advantage, to your advantage and benefits. Until next time, keep blending bold vision, of course, with grounded purpose. This is BizBlend, where we scale with soul. Thank you.